Good morning, friends. There's that lovely bell. Maybe you're used to the giveaways for it, but today signals the time to start the Bible story. So, welcome. West Tennessee Dave here, coming to you live on Twitch at 6:33 a.m. Central Time. And not live, but on a recording to you either on a VOD in Twitch or over on YouTube later on. Make sure you guys subscribe. Good to see you all. Hope you are well this morning. All right, what are we going to read today? We are going to read Exodus 8 through 11 today. We're going to pick up the story where we left off. We finished, we didn't finish. We started the epic story of the plagues on Egypt, and we've gone through two of them so far. Moses threw a stick down and it became a snake, and it ate up the other snakes of the Egyptians. And then they jabbed the staff into the Nile River, and the Nile River became blood, and blood was everywhere through all the water sources. So that's where we left off, and that's where we're going to pick up the story again. All right, so here we go. Exodus 8 through 11. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go back to Pharaoh and announce to him, 'This is what the Lord says: Let my people go so they can worship me. If you refuse to let them go, I will send plague of frogs across your entire land. The Nile River will swarm with frogs. They will come up out of the river and into your palace, even into your bedroom and onto your bed. They will enter the houses of your officials and your people. They will even jump into your ovens and your kneading bowls. Frogs will jump on you, your people, and all your officials.' Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Tell Aaron, raise the staff in your hand over all the rivers, canals, and ponds of Egypt, and bring up frogs all over all the land.' So Aaron raised his hand over the waters of Egypt, and frogs came up and covered the whole land. But the magicians were able to do the same thing with their magic. They too caused frogs to come up out of the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and begged, 'Plead with the Lord to take the frogs away from me and my people. I will let your people go so they can offer sacrifices to the Lord.' 'You set the time,' Moses replied. 'Tell me when you want me to pray for you, your officials, and your people. Then you and your houses will be rid of the frogs. They will remain only in the Nile River.' 'Do it tomorrow,' Pharaoh said. 'All right,' Moses replied. 'It will be as you have said. Then you will know that there is no one like the Lord our God. The frogs will leave you and your houses, your officials, and your people. They will remain only in the Nile River.' So Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh's palace, and Moses cried out to the Lord about the frogs he had inflicted on Pharaoh. And the Lord did just what Moses had predicted. The frogs in the houses, the courtyards, and the fields all died. The Egyptians piled them into great heaps, and a terrible stench filled the land. But when Pharaoh saw that relief had come, he became stubborn. He refused to listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had predicted. So the Lord said to Moses, 'Tell Aaron, raise your staff and strike the ground. Dust will turn into swarms of gnats throughout the land of Egypt.' So Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord had commanded them. When Aaron raised his hand and struck the ground with his staff, gnats infested the entire land, covering the Egyptians and their animals. All the dust in the land of Egypt turned into gnats. Pharaoh's magicians tried to do the same thing with their secret arts, but this time they failed, and the gnats covered everyone, people and animals alike. 'This is the finger of God,' the magicians exclaimed to Pharaoh. But Pharaoh's heart remained hard. He wouldn't listen to them, just as the Lord had predicted. Then the Lord told Moses, 'Get up early in the morning, stand in Pharaoh's way as he goes down to the river. Say to him, "This is what the Lord says: Let my people go, so they can worship me. If you refuse, then I will send swarms of flies on you, your officials, your people, and all the houses. The Egyptian homes will be filled with flies, and the ground will be covered with them. But this time I will spare the region of Goshen where my people live. No flies will be found there. Then you will know that I am the Lord, and that I am present even in the heart of your land. I will make a clear distinction between my people and your people. This miraculous sign will happen tomorrow. And the Lord did just as he had said. A thick swarm of flies filled Pharaoh's palace and the houses of his officials. The whole land of Egypt was thrown into chaos by the flies. Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron. "All right, go ahead and offer sacrifices to your God," he said, "but do it here in this land." But Moses replied, "That wouldn't be right. The Egyptians detest the sacrifices that we offer to the Lord our God. Look, if we offer our sacrifices here, where the Egyptians can see us, they will stone us. We must take a 3-day trip into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, just as he commanded us." "All right, go ahead," Pharaoh replied. "I will let you go into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord your God. But don't go too far away. Now hurry and pray for me." Moses answered, "As soon as I leave you, I will pray to the Lord, and tomorrow the swarms of flies will disappear from you and your officials and all your people. But I am warning you, Pharaoh, don't lie to us again and refuse to let the people go to sacrifice to the Lord." So Moses left Pharaoh's palace and pleaded with the Lord to remove all the flies. And the Lord did as Moses asked, and caused the swarm of flies to disappear from Pharaoh, his officials, and his people. Not a single fly remained. But Pharaoh again became stubborn and refused to let the people go. "Go back to Pharaoh," the Lord commanded Moses. "Tell him, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go so they can worship me. If you continue to hold them and refuse to let them go, the hand of the Lord will strike all your livestock, your horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, sheep, and goats, with a deadly plague. But the Lord will again make a distinction between the livestock of the Israelites and that of the Egyptians. Not a single one of the Israelites' animals will die. The Lord has already set the time for the plague to begin. He has declared that he will strike the land tomorrow." And the Lord did just as he said. The next morning, all the livestock of the Egyptians died, but the Israelites didn't lose a single animal. Pharaoh sent his officials to investigate, and they discovered that the Israelites had not lost a single animal. But even so, Pharaoh's heart remained stubborn, and he still refused to let the people go. Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Take handfuls of soot from a brick kiln and have Moses toss it into the air while Pharaoh watches. The ashes will spread like fine dust over the whole land of Egypt, causing festering boils to break out on people and animals throughout the land." So they took soot from a brick kiln and went and stood before Pharaoh. As Pharaoh watched, Moses threw the soot into the air, and the boils broke out on the people and the animals alike. Even the magicians were unable to stand before Moses because the boils had broken out on them and all the Egyptians. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. And just as the Lord had predicted to Moses, Pharaoh refused to listen. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh. Tell him, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go so they can worship me. If you don't, I will send more plagues on you and your officials and your people. Then you will know that there is no one like me in all the earth. By now I could have lifted my hand and struck you and your people with a plague to wipe you off the face of the earth. But I have spared you for a purpose, to show you my power and to spread my fame throughout the earth. But you still lord it over my people and refuse to let them go. So tomorrow at this time I will send a hailstorm, more devastating than any in all the history of Egypt. Quick, order your livestock and servants to come in from the fields to find shelter. Any person or animal left outside will die when the hail falls." Some of Pharaoh's officials were afraid because of what the Lord had said. They quickly brought their servants and livestock in from the fields. But those who paid no attention to the word of the Lord left theirs out in the open. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Lift your hand toward the sky so hail may fall on the people, the livestock, and the plants throughout the land of Egypt." So Moses lifted his staff toward the sky, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and lightning flashed toward the earth. The Lord sent a tremendous hailstorm against all the land of Egypt. Never in all the history of Egypt had there been a storm like that, with such devastating hail and continuous lightning. It left all of Egypt in ruins. The hail struck down everything in the open field, people, animals, and plants alike. Even the trees were destroyed. The only place without hail was the region of Goshen, where the people of Israel lived. Then Pharaoh quickly summoned Moses and Aaron. "This time I have sinned," he confessed. "The Lord is the righteous one, and my people and I are wrong. Please beg the Lord to end this terrifying thunder and hail. We've had enough. I will let you go. You don't need to stay any longer." "All right," Moses replied. "As soon as I leave the city, I will lift my hands and pray to the Lord. Then the thunder and the hail will stop, and you will know that the earth belongs to the Lord. But I know that you and your officials still do not fear the Lord God." All the flax and barley were ruined by the hail because the barley had formed heads and the flax was budding. But the wheat and the emmer wheat were spared because they had not yet sprouted from the ground. So Moses left Pharaoh's court and went out of the city. When he lifted his hands to the Lord, the thunder and hail stopped, and the downpour ceased. But when Pharaoh saw that the rain, hail, and thunder had stopped, he and his officials sinned again, and Pharaoh again became stubborn. Because his heart was hard, Pharaoh refused to let the people leave, just as the Lord had predicted through Moses. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Return to Pharaoh and make your demands again. I have made him and his officials stubborn, so I can display my miraculous signs among them. I've also done it so that you can tell your children and grandchildren about how I made a mockery of the Egyptians and about the signs I displayed among them, and so you will know that I am the Lord." So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says. How long will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go. Submit to me. Let my people go so they can worship me. If you refuse, watch out, for tomorrow I will bring a swarm of locusts on your country. They will cover the land so that you won't be able to see the ground. They will devour what little is left of your crops after the hailstorm, including all the trees growing in the fields. They will overrun your palaces and the homes of your officials and all the houses in Egypt. Never in the history of Egypt have your ancestors seen a plague like this one." And with that, Moses turned and left Pharaoh. Pharaoh's officials now came to Pharaoh and appealed to him. "How long will you let this man hold us hostage? Let the men go to worship the Lord their God. Don't you realize that Egypt lies in ruins?" So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh. "All right," he told them, "go and worship the Lord your God. But who exactly will be going with you?" Moses replied, "We will all go, young and old, our sons and daughters, and our flocks and herds. We must all join together in celebrating a festival to the Lord." Pharaoh retorted, "The Lord will certainly need to be with you if I let you take your little ones. I can see through your evil plan. Never. Only the men may go and worship the Lord, since that is what you requested." And Pharaoh threw them out of the palace. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the land of Egypt to bring on the locusts. Let them cover the land and devour every plant that survived the hailstorm." So Moses raised his staff over Egypt, and the Lord caused an east wind to blow over the land all that day and throughout the night. When morning arrived, the east wind had brought the locust, and the locusts swarmed over the whole land of Egypt, settling in dense swarms from one end of the country to the other. It was the worst locust plague in Egyptian history, and there has never been another one like it. For the locusts covered the whole country and darkened the land. They devoured every plant in the field and all the fruit on the trees that had survived the hailstorm. Not a single leaf was left on the trees and plants throughout the land of Egypt. Pharaoh quickly summoned Moses and Aaron. I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you, he confessed. Forgive my sin just this once, and plead with the Lord your God to take away this death from me. So Moses left the Pharaoh's court and pleaded with the Lord. The Lord responded by shifting the wind, and the strongest west wind blew the locusts into the Red Sea. Not a single locust remained in all the land of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart again, so he refused to let the people go. Then the Lord said to Moses, lift your hand toward heaven, and the land of Egypt will be covered with a darkness so thick that you can feel it. So Moses lifted his hand to the sky, and a deep darkness covered the entire land of Egypt for 3 days. During all that time, the people could not see each other. No one moved, but there was light as usual where the people of Israel lived. Finally, Pharaoh called for Moses. Go and worship the Lord, he said, but leave your flocks and herds here. You may even take your little ones with you. No, Moses said, you must provide us with animals for sacrifices and burnt offerings to the Lord our God. All our livestock must go with us too. Not a hoof can be left behind. We must choose our sacrifices for the Lord our God from among these animals, and we won't know how we are to worship the Lord until we get there. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart once more, and he would not let them go. Get out of here, Pharaoh shouted at Moses. I'm warning you, never come back to see me again. The day you see my face, you will die. Very well, Moses replied. I will never see your face again. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will strike Pharaoh in the land of Egypt with one more blow. After that, Pharaoh will let you leave this country. In fact, he will be so eager to get rid of you that he will force you all to leave. Tell all the Israelite men and women to ask their Egyptian neighbors for articles of silver and gold. Now the Lord had caused the Egyptians to look favorably on the people of Israel, and Moses was considered a very great man in the land of Egypt, respected by Pharaoh's officials and the Egyptian people alike. Moses had announced to Pharaoh, this is what the Lord says, at midnight tonight, I will pass through the heart of Egypt. All the firstborn sons will die in every family in Egypt, from the oldest son of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the oldest son of his lowliest servant girl who grinds the flour. Even the firstborn of all the livestock will die. Then a loud wail will rise throughout the land of Egypt, a wail like no one has ever heard before or will ever hear again. But among the Israelites it will be so peaceful that not even a dog will bark. Then you will know that the Lord makes a distinction between the Egyptians and the Israelites. All the officials of Egypt will run to me and fall to the ground before me. Please leave, they will beg. Hurry, and take all your followers with you. Only then will I go. Then, burning with anger, Moses left Pharaoh. Now the Lord had told Moses earlier, Pharaoh will not listen to you, but then I will do even more mighty miracles in the land of Egypt. Moses and Aaron performed these miracles in Pharaoh's presence, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites leave the country. Okay. Yikes. There it was today, folks. The 7 more plagues, 1 more announced, which sounds absolutely brutal. We're going to read about that tomorrow. So we didn't actually finish that story. We got the hearing of it from the Lord telling Moses and then Moses telling Pharaoh. But that one hasn't happened. So that will be, well, not tomorrow. That will be on Sunday. Yeah. So the killing of the firstborn is called the Passover. And that will happen in the next one. So yes, it is a spoiler. But I read the spoiler. I read what's going to happen. And we'll pick up that story on Sunday. All right. All hail the Lord. I like that, Hiles. Very nice. It's okay. You guys spoil the poker stream sometimes, and you spoil the story. It's all good. It's all good. Um so why frogs of all creatures, right? I mean, I don't know the answer to that one, Matt. Um those are good questions. Um I don't know why there was a snake to start with. Yeah, it is your first time here, Knox. So good. I'm glad you were here. I'm glad you got to enjoy the reading this morning. The frogs are an interesting. They're an interesting part of the story for sure. Like, why is it frogs? And man, I have a pond, and there are lots of frogs in the pond. I can't imagine having frogs all over my bed, though, all in my house, and then they just all die one day. I mean, that would be just utterly disgusting. And, I live in West Tennessee. I don't know where everyone else lives. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and once a year we have a family reunion here at my house from this side of my family, and it's in the summer. It's in West Tennessee. It is brutally hot normally, and the bugs in Tennessee, I don't know if they're more aggressive or bigger than bugs in other places in the world, but when I was younger, and even when some of my family members come down who still live in the suburbs of Chicago, they're like, these bugs, they're gonna kill me. They're just not used to the bugs that they see here, and and they're freaked out by them. Right? They're freaked out by them. I live with 25 acres of woods around me. So I have a lot of wildlife. The to have just gnats and bugs all over you that you can't get away from. Oh, so like it's traumatic. The thinking of it is just so traumatic. I don't know how you could just come to a place where you would see this and then all of a sudden they're gone, and then you're like, okay, well, it's back to normal. This is that part of the story where it just keeps saying over and over again, but Pharaoh hardened his heart, or God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Like, I mean, God is in this too, of just like basically making Pharaoh stubborn. And so often in life, I said this on Tuesday about being hard hearted, right? To look at this story of Pharaoh and not just like gloss it over that we don't ever operate like him. To when you get relief from something that's been plaguing you for a while, whatever that may be, probably not gnats or bugs like this massive biblical thing here, but it could be anything. It could be, we've seen it with Reese's Cup and the cancer, right? We've seen it with, you could maybe even stay it in your own like poker journey, like you're on just a big downswing and finally you get relief, right? Did we learn something in the process, in whatever our storyline is? And did we just wait it out? Do we feel like we just waited it out, or were we being taught a lesson? And did we actually listen to the lesson? And then when the relief comes, not just go back to our old ways, right? God is giving Pharaoh this opportunity to see that he is all powerful because Pharaoh has basically claimed he's the most powerful, right? So if you think you're all powerful and you're not humble enough, you've fallen into Pharaoh's trap a little bit. And man, I know I've been there before. Like, oh, I got this. When you say I've got this, you don't know. You don't know if you got this. Um, Man, if you've ever gone through the cicada season, I've been in a few locations, a few times in the Chicago suburbs. I think that's the worst place I've been in. My wife was in it in Maryland when she was at school there. The 17-year cicada is, oh my gosh, it just is brutality. The bug is so stupid. They come out of nowhere and they are just everywhere. The noise is deafening. Um, yeah, like East Tennessee has gotten them. I guess I've had them in Middle Tennessee as well, but I haven't had them out here in West Tennessee yet. Um, I mean, the box elder bugs drive you crazy, huh? Yeah, I mean, it's just like the it's one thing that they're kind of like stupid and don't do much damage and they don't eat the crops, thankfully, the cicadas, right? But, dogs get super fat after cicada season. Um because there's just so much protein on the ground or whatever, right? But a locust that destroys all the crops out in the field, that is bad, right? Like they need a ton of reserves. You're laughing because of the fat dog. It's very common. Dogs generally gain like 10% of their body weight when they're around cicadas. I mean, it's just a funny little coincidence during those seasons. Um, anyway, I mean, the vets all warn about it. Try to watch your dogs. I can't. I'm okay. We're way off. We're way off the track here. All right, Matt says, it's kind of like, who's the bigger man, you know? Let's prove ourselves. What's the point, right? Um why does God have to do it? Are you saying? I think for that is it's a great question. Why did God have to do this? God said, he said back to Abraham, who he made the original covenant and promise with, that your descendants will live for 400 years as in captivity in Egypt, and then I will bring them out with a mighty hand. So he prophesied this. He didn't he didn't say like their lives will be absolutely miserable, but he said they will be slaves all the way back to Abraham. Um and I said this yesterday and I think it's still the same true today. God is just. He's loving, he's just. Pharaoh or pharaohs in the past killed the Hebrews. They punished the Hebrews. They whipped the Hebrews. They made them slaves, even though it was a Hebrew that saved them from the first one. So they didn't remember their storyline and who saved them with Joseph. They didn't honor that. They became one of the greatest, most powerful nations in all the earth in this time frame. And generally, when nations are super powerful and super wealthy, they become prideful and think they are invincible. And the destruction of a nation looks very much like pride got in the way. We became too prideful in what we thought, and at some point, that pride leads to a fall. And this is the fall of the Egyptian land and Egypt because of what they have done against this people group. And God's had enough of it. God's seen enough of the mistreatment, how they've treated their slaves, the fact that they're killing people in order to stay more powerful because they're in fear. When you use fear as your tool, over and over in Scripture it says, treat others the way you want to be treated. This is how they've treated others. They're being treated that way back. And it just seems brutal. But it's really a response to the brutality that you have already done. And when you're like, well, I'm the best at being brutal, nobody can stand in my way. Well, God will tell you, and he'll show you, and that's what this story's about. So if that's your mentality as a person or a people group or as the Pharaoh or the king or whatever leader, is that we're the best and we have the power and we're going to use that power to enslave or treat people poorly, eventually God's going to unleash. And that's what we're seeing here. And it is not pretty. It's ugly. It's like, why? Why did it have to be this way? It's treating others. It's like treating others the way you want to be treated. And so they're being treated the way they treated others. So if someone punches you, you punch them back, right? So yeah, I know what you're saying. I know you were talking to me, Knox, with that idle hands. Yes, so we are gonna see that concept, eye for an eye. Yes. We are gonna see that from a nation state. Is how God is dealing with people in this season. And the question is that how God always deals with people? Or is that always the way we're supposed to deal with people? And that is a really, really, really hard question to answer. Um, it- we're just seeing that through this, we're seeing that through this story right now. It's just hard to believe God would do that. If he wanted to change Pharaoh, just do it to him. Spare the land and the people. I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, I get that from a individualistic standpoint. Man, my wife and I have had these conversations quite often recently. The We in America, and I'm assuming most of you are American. I can't speak for Canadians, but we have a very, very individualistic society here in America. And we see that justice should be done very much on an individual basis because that's kind of how we see our reality a lot of times. We see that that's kind of how our country operates. But God has kind of called this group, the Hebrews, his people group, and he very much so operates justice and everything else on people groups back in these days. And I think he still does, but we just have very little concept of that. I think we see it a little bit when the Olympics happen. We're like, yay, Team USA, blah, 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 blah. But for the most part, we live very individualistic lives. This was not the case. This was not the case for most of the world. And for most of time, people groups, like communities, lived together and died together very often because they needed each other. And it's not just about your own family group so much, it's about a nation, a group of people becoming a tribe or whatever that is, and then operating together. And that has historically been the case. And so in this case, the people groups, it's not just Pharaoh. I mean, it seems like that, right? Pharaoh sinned. Pharaoh is the one that decided to throw the people into the river, but you see just like a small glimpse of it. The midwives were like supposed to kill every baby boy born. They wouldn't do it, and God blessed them. When Pharaoh gave this command, they wouldn't have it. But then the rest of the Egyptians they get in on what Pharaoh says, which is let's kill the baby boys. Um, so the whole land is in is under the authority of Pharaoh, and all the people that are Egyptians are under the authority of Pharaoh. And to some extent, all of the people that are Hebrews, because they're slaves, are under the authority of Pharaoh. And he is treating people groups differently. He is treating his people group significantly differently and better than he's treating the Hebrews. And God is making the exact same distinction back. And he has to do it not just to one person, because if a whole culture has built up around the fact that Pharaoh and we are better people than somebody else. Okay, and that might sound familiar because man, what did I just say? Like we go to the Olympics, USA, we're better than everyone else. We want. If you think that your country is better than somebody else, and then you live from that mentality that you are better, and thus we can do whatever we want, you are setting yourself up for very prideful moments. And if God wants to do it as a people group, um he can prove himself much stronger than any country. Okay? And he's showing that to these people here, and it's a lesson for us as people groups. We just don't see ourselves much as people groups, but we are under Americans. We are under our states, right? Like we have whole different people groups here. That's the political system. You have friend groups, you have church groups, you have poker groups. We have all kinds of things that are groupings, right? And if we think we're better, you have become prideful. And I think that that's a super dangerous place to be looking at this story of Pharaoh. If we want to elevate ourselves at the expense of somebody else, that's dangerous territory. Okay? And I hope this is just me. This is just me, and hopefully you guys know my heart on this, right? The reason I stream, the reason I'm doing this, the reason I'm talking about these things, the reason I put on study streams and poker and I share is I care about community. I want you guys all to succeed. Yes, we play a game and it's like we're all trying to individually do well, okay? But I'm not trying to build myself up and tear you down in the process. I want you all to feel love, encouragement, opportunity to grow, to become something greater. And because the other side of that heart is this story here with Pharaoh. And I don't want to be like that guy. I don't want to be about power. I don't want it to be about me. Hey, make it about me. No, I want it to be about a community. I want a community that um, is built up and loved and cared for. Okay, because this story just shows like what that is. And look, if I get it wrong, I'm a human being. I get it wrong. Okay, I make mistakes. I wish I didn't. We all do. That is where we need some grace, but we also need to just say, hey, I got it wrong. And I have to be able to say that to others. Um, because then I'm not becoming hard hearted. And the harder my heart gets, the harder it is to break through from God. And that is the painful reality of everyone's life, is that when we become hard-hearted, God gets our attention, and is it is not fun individually or communally. Um so right, to see how you hurt a human, to listen to somebody else's story, to hear it, to not just neglect it, no matter if you don't totally agree with it or not, just to hear their story, to give them a small little piece of platform to be heard. And that could just be one on one. That's great, right? God is trying to do something and he's saying, but Pharaoh won't listen. And because he still thinks he's the most powerful. And he still thinks, oh, I've gotten relief. It's over. Let's go back to the way things were. When you want to go back to the way things were that aren't helpful and good for you or the people groups that you are around or in charge of, you're in a very dangerous place. Don't do it, right? Don't let that be your storyline. Don't let that be your storyline. Okay. Wow, we've had some great. You guys have put some great questions out there and some comments. I really like it. Um, you know, people say that the Bible is old and antiquated, right? There's lots of ways to read the Bible, okay? And the reason I'm reading to you as a story form is that's what God told me to do, okay? He was inviting me into that process, and that's why we're reading the stories. And I just love the stories because they relate. Our lives are like stories. Um, and so that's where we're going with this. I am so thankful that you guys are here to listen and participate. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for listening to this story. Thanks for participating in your own. And I'm a big life application person. I know these stories relate right to our lives still. Um, because, man, I can be prideful just like Pharaoh. I can have a hard heart. I was meant to be your main character. Look, back to what Matt said about this individualism versus community, right? These are tough questions. One, you should be the main character of your own story. Nobody else is going to be the main character, but you can let somebody else be the main character. You are the main character of your story. Okay? Your story our stories do connect though. We have relationships, so that means our stories connect and they connect more and more the more we let them. Okay? And there's going to be good times along the way, there's going to be tough times. We're going to get mad at each other. We're going to say things that are hurtful to one another at times. Let's come back and say, "Man, I I I might have hurt you. I don't know why. I want to hear why. I want to hear each person out. Let's be listeners." I think that's what God is really teaching. Be a listener because then we're truly operating in love, right? So, okay, I've rambled on a lot here. You guys have made this. You guys have made this great. Yes, I mean that's why Hiles has a Discord is to have a community just as well, right? That's why we hang out there sometimes. Okay, and that's why we all want community. That's why we hang out here on streams. I think there's some innateness of us that we have. We need some community. It's important to us for all of us. Uh, it's messy. It's messy. And we're all in different places. We're all not perfect. We all have baggage. We bring good things to the table. Sometimes we bring not great things to the table. It's just part of it. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Oh man. Yeah, it's just the human story. It's gonna the these stories are from thousands and thousands of years ago, okay? And the human heart though is still the same. It beats, it still gets broken, it still does stupid things. They did it then, we do it now. So we don't exclude ourselves from it or think we're more righteous or better. We're just the same. We're people, and so we hear their stories, we take it to heart, what they did well and what they didn't, and we learn from our history and we try to become better. We learn from our stories. Even stories, they can teach us heart lessons. So, all right. I love you guys. This has been so much fun. I could sit here for hours and just talk and yap about these things because it just inspires me. Um, but I will let you get back to your lives for today. And I'm so grateful you guys were all here. I'm so grateful you got to come and listen today. It's still I cliffhangered it on Tuesday. I'm cliffhangering again today. We still have one more plague, and it's been previewed what it is, but it hasn't happened. It's basically been foretold what's going to happen. And sometimes we're foretold what's going to happen. And even then, we're just like, nah, we'll just see what's going to happen. So come back Sunday, and I think Sunday is my next stream. Sunday morning is my next stream because I'm out camping this weekend with the scouts, but we get back Saturday night, so I will be here Sunday to put the final plague story down and what transpires because of it. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Good to see you all. Good to see you. Thanks for your comments. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, Hiles, Knox, Mo, Wicked, Matt, Asibla. Thank you for all the comments. Anyone else that's out there and just lurking, I hope you enjoyed your time here. I hope you enjoyed your time here. But I hope you just, it stirs your heart as well. I hope the stories stir your heart. So that's well, when I come back to the poker stream, you get to see the space-time continuum with the future and the past all converging into one, right? And sometimes it's a good story, sometimes it's not. There are flying cars. There's not many of them. There are some flying cars, actually. I've been watching this company that I really want to see take off. With some flying cars, but I would love a flying car. That would be awesome. The Cubs did win the World Series, though. So, anyways, thank you for being here. I love you guys. Thank you for being friends and community members and your comments. You're all welcome here. If you have any questions, you can message me in Discord. You can whisper me on Twitch. You can obviously leave comments like you always did. And I will see you guys again soon. Sunday, for sure. Love you. Bye.